All right, so welcome everyone. Nice to have you join us. This is GDG Accra, having a special event with NLP Ghana, with the co-founder in here with us. So without wasting much time, we are going to dive in straight away to the program. We have Paul with us. Paul Azunri, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Is
Azunre.
actually awesome. He's actually a PhD holder. So as you know, he's a doctor, right? All right. So just a little intro about him. I'm just giving you what he has so far on his profile. Then probably when he takes over, he can actually introduce himself properly with us. So if you have any question, to drop it in the feel free to drop it in the question Q&A session. We will pick it up from there. Then if you want to also drop it in the comment section as well, you can do so. This session is being recorded and will be out on YouTube for those who couldn't join or those who are having network issue to also have access to it as well. Also, let's try to put off our videos when we join. Let's try to turn off our videos except the speaker so we can have good flow of internet throughout and also have a quality recording with just the speaker video and this presentation. All right, and then also kindly mute yourself when you join as well. Yeah, then let's watch our words. Whatever you put in the comment section, kindly make sure something which won't have effect on another person. Let's try and also comport ourselves here as well, as we are all in the tech space, right? Good. So let me just move straight to bring in the speaker. I'm Dr. Paul Anzuri, who is a co-founder and director of research at Ghana NLP. He's also the founder and chief architect at Algorine, director of data science, John and Brad Streets. I think it continues. There are a lot. So I noticed there are really a lot. And if you notice, everything was research, scientists, data science, and all that. More of you can have the feel of AI in there. Then the neural language in there. You can have that kind of feel of all those things in the machine learning and all that in its title, right? So it's an expert in anything artificial intelligence, right? So he's going to give us a brief intro about himself from his perspective, based linking to what we are going to talk about today, linking that to an intro that he's going to give us, and then I'm sure you guys are going to learn a lot from him as well. Most of us know him based on a whole lot of things, National Science and Maths quiz, right? I mean, most of us didn't get to watch him that, but we were able to hear those stuff about him. We didn't watch because I think by then a lot of us were in KG or something. So, so we didn't we didn't get to know all this stuff, but we heard it. A lot of us have heard about it, and he's one of us, right? This is one of us. He's a Ghanaian here now. He's one of us. Probably is whether he's a Ghanaian or he's not a Ghanaian, he's one of us, but he's a Ghanaian. So let's welcome him. Let's welcome Dr. Paul Anzuri to take over for the next 35 minutes. Then we take your questions. All right. So over to you.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Very nice to meet you. My name is Dr. Paul Azunre, and I'm going to talk to you today about Kaya AI, which is a platform we are building to enable you to do cool AI things, but with our local languages. And specifically, we were formed to focus on Ghana, because if you look out at what everybody's doing right now, whether it's Meta, whether it's Google, and whatever, at least at the time we started, they were not doing Ghanaian languages at all. At all. Like they had Swahili, Yoruba, maybe, due to the number of speakers in those places. but we were completely ignored. So we decided we needed to do it ourselves because we couldn't wait for somebody to come and do it for us. Now, the other thing I want to stress is that, yes, I am into research and stuff, but I'm a little bit maybe different from other doctors, people who call themselves doctors, in that I really care about the application side of things, meaning I care more about the software and the tool that people can use to change their life than I care about, say, publishing papers. The reason is that we found that in order to do this and to raise money for it, we basically have to build self-sustaining products that can raise profits. And I feel this is the only way we can actually build an ecosystem where this kind of research can continue. So keep that in mind as we move ahead. So Algorin is a research lab I started when I left my PhD. At the time, I was looking at like solar energy and stuff like that. And then we pivoted towards natural language processing, which is, AI chatbots and stuff. Ghana NLP is a nonprofit. So these two organizations work with each other to try and optimize the approaches of a private organization with the approaches of an open organization. And the idea is that there are agreements in place that everything that comes out of this goes back into research that benefits all of us, right? And the platform we are building is called Kaya AI. I'll tell you why we called it that. So these are our principles.
Yeah, hello, Doc.
Yes.
Yeah, I think your slide is not in the presentation mode yet. So on your far right.
Got it.
Okay, slideshow. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah. So yes, these are our principles. What we are building has to be self-sustaining, because otherwise you're just running around begging for money, either from a government that doesn't really care about, the people, or from some foreign entity that's trying to exploit the people, right? So the thing that we are building has to take care of itself, because this is the only way that we remain independent from political interference or external interference from some company abroad that wants to profit off of us, right? Now, it's very important that what we are doing, the benefit has to flow back to the locals, right? So, of course, our team is global, but a lot of people are in Ghana, unlike, let's say, Google or Facebook, where even if they're working on things that have to do with that, like Tree is probably somebody sitting in Silicon Valley doing it, right? Not in Accra, not in Tamale, not in Kumasi, right? So we have to build a local ecosystem. And the people building these things have to be people who understand this culture, people who benefit from it being done well, right? So I'm going to do a lot of demos. I'm going to try and do demos. Depends on how the audio goes. And all the demos I'm going to do today, you can find by going to this one link, okay? Linktree/NLP Ghana. And I'll show you what it looks like very quickly, just so that you don't get lost. So I would encourage you, as I go through the slides, to open it, see what's going on over there, maybe try some things, and by the time I get there, maybe you'll know what's happening. So it looks like this, right? There's an image demo, there's a chat demo. If you want to reach web app, the link is there. The translator on the mobile is there, whether iOS or Android. Our API is there. I'm going to demo all of these things. So let's go back to the presentation real quick. All right, so I'll tell you first about the inspiration behind the tool, why the name, right? What the previous versions, some of our milestones that we achieved over about 5 years that we've been doing this, and what we are doing now, and what we are going to do in the future, of course. So you may not know this, but the African mahogany tree, the scientific name of it is Kaya senegalesis. And you may not know this, but this is something you've been using your entire life, right? This African mahogany tree is being used for firewood, medicine, food in some cases, right? So there are a lot of things that come out of this. People don't even know and it spread throughout Africa. Okay, so we thought it was a nice metaphor. It also turns out that Kaya is in a South African language. It means home, and we do think of Africa as our home, so we thought it was a good representation. And just like the tree, we think it's a resource that can be used as a foundation for a lot of things that can be built on top of it. So one of the central tenets of the system is continuous feedback from people. So as you go through, as people use the app, as people use the web app, or any of the things we put out with their consent, very important, the feedback, if they choose to give us the feedback, we put it back in the model, we improve it based on that. And then this way, all the metrics can begin to can continue to improve over time. Among some of the things that we've accomplished, right? And it's, if you are interested in the details of AI, neural networks and stuff, it's a transformer neural network. You probably have heard about this. It's in PyTorch. You know, it's pretty vanilla stuff. But the key element here is really high quality data that we've curated over the years that's used to train this model, including the human feedback, right? So these are some of the intellectual property we have. Some of the things we've done are open source, but we've learned over time that we can't just open source ourselves completely, because if we do that, Google will come and take and just replace us, right? So we have to maintain some kind of intellectual property that keeps us in place, that allows us to continue to make a little money to continue this research. So we did Tree before Google, we did Ewa before Google. We are still the only ones offering Ga, still the only ones offering Dagbani, still the only ones offering Gorne of Frafra, which is where I'm from. My dad is from the Upper East region of Ghana, Bolgatanga, that's my hometown. And actually, when I started building this, the idea was I was trying to improve my knowledge of Gorne, and I didn't have any tools. And now we are beginning to get to a place where I can actually have tools to improve my skills. We have the world's best, and we had the world's first tree automatic speech recognition, which means, you know, when you speak to the phone or whatever, it transcribes what you're saying in the local language. You can try this in the app right now or through the links I sent. If you speak to it, it will transcribe it. And it's, you know, I mean, much better than anything else out there. Right? Facebook, with their billions of dollars, has put out some stuff. We are better. In addition, we have expanded beyond Ghana to Kenya. So we have Kikuyu, Kimeru, and Luo, which are the biggest local languages in Kenya. We were surprised that there were no solutions for this, and we worked with people at Harvard University who provided us with the data so that we could train our systems. And so this was collaboration with Kenyans. This is important because we can't go to another country and try to do a solution for them without including the locals. This is exactly why we started doing our thing. People were coming, building something for us without talking to the locals and just throwing it over the fence, right? So we worked with Kenyans to also provide Kenyans with a similar capability. So this is growing beyond Ghana now in a very collaborative way. So the collaborative part is important because it can't be a colonial, you know, takeover, maximize profits. You have to work with the people in the community. And we do better than Google at some things. They do better than us at some things. We can discuss those details later. And you know, we measure using the usual metrics like Blue Score for translation. If you're talking about speech recognition, word error rate or character error rates, and so on. And like these are some of the improvements we've seen over the years. You know, from one version to another, we can see up to like a 6% improvements in Blue Score, which is significant. And actually, in ASR, the most recent advance we had went from about 30% error rate to 15% error rate. And, you know, a 30% error rate, that's not practical. Whereas 15% error rates is actually a practical speech recognition system. And I'll go beyond and say this is the only practical tree speech recognition system in the world right now. A lot of people are trying to catch up. So this may not remain true for maybe 3 months or 6 months. But at the moment, this is the only practical system. So if you are trying to build a speech recognition system, I don't know, you want to talk to an assistant and can hear what you're saying, right? This is the only one that has a general capability to capture any of the tree you're saying, transcribe it so that then you can see what the person was saying, right? All right, so this is the fun part. Now we're going to do some demos. I'm going to start with a voice-to-voice demo. You may have seen this, but for the sake of people who may not have seen it, I'll play it again. It's only 90 seconds long. And if you can't hear the audio, please let me really quickly and I'll fix it. That's not what I meant to do. Hello, everybody. Today, I'm very excited to present to you the ability to generate high-quality tree voice. So this is text-to-speech. Our web app. And today, I will show you how to use this capability. If, say, you were a tourist trying to get around Ghana, you could use this capability to interact with the locals. Check this out. Press the microphone button here. Is this the right road to get there? So it translates it. Translated. And now let's hear what it sounds like. So here we are using the tree text-to-speech. Let's try another example. Do you know where I can buy bread? So let's try yet another example. Where can I catch a taxi? It's all right. There's a lot more stuff coming. Yeah. So what happened there was we first captured the voice in with the automatic speech recognition, transcribed it into text, right, which was English text, and we translated the English into tree, and then we asked our tree text-to-speech to generate the sound that corresponds to that text. So there were 3 components of the API we used here. Let's try another example to try and. So in this case, the text that's coming in has been translated and has been converted into text and then translated. Those steps can have error in them, right? So you may want to just input some text and ask it what it sounds like, right? So these are going to be some quite complex text that I'm going to show you that it generates. So you can see that this is not some gimmick that works for very short text or something. So here we are typing, we are not speaking to it. What are you waiting for? Okay. So in this case, we used 2 steps, right? We typed, we translated, and then we generated voice, right? So we removed one of the steps from it to simplify it a bit. Now let's try something else, which is actually typing. As I said, let's say you wanted just to input the text you wanted to translate, to generate the sound for. In order to do this, you would need to use our API. So I'll show you how that works very quickly, because I know a lot of people here may want to build things like this. This is how you do it. So let me just go to the home. If you go to translation.ghananlp.org, translation.ghananlp.org, which is the API link in that original link we looked at, you will come to this page. You can sign up for an account. There's a free tier. The more you use beyond the free tier, we ask you to pay a small fee, as I said, so that we can keep building this thing. And also, there are servers running in the background, right, that are doing all this stuff. We have to find a way to pay for all that, for you to be able to build applications on it. So that's the reason why that fee exists. But let's say once you've signed up for your account, hit Explore APIs, right? And you come to this page where our currently available APIs will be listed. So automatic speech recognition is one of them, as I said, text-to-speech, and then translation. So let's just go to the text-to-speech so you can see what I mean. So you go to text, you select your API. It will give you here instructions on how to use it. So this is what your request should look like, right? So let's say you wanted to, at the same, right? You wanted to generate that audio. So hit try it. And then, you have a subscription key I'm not going to show you because that's private to me. And then, okay, see what's going on. This is what the request looks like. You hit send. What happened here? Okay, this shouldn't happen. Live demos. It may be because I'm sharing it that this is happening. Probably some kind of security feature. Yeah. Okay. But if you follow the same steps and you hit the request, it will download, the file will download to your downloads folder and you can listen to it, essentially. So you can put anything you want in here, right? Whatever text you want, and then listen to what it sounds like if you want. So someone is asking, saying the language should be tree or not tree. This is, by the way, you can always ask questions. We have a team that will answer your questions, but we are using language codes, right? So the language code for tree is TW. The language code for GA is GAA. The language code for Ewe is EE, right? So it's a language code, yeah, not the actual language. Okay, so try this, please, and let me know how it goes. Let's move on to the next demo really quickly. Yes, so this is actually if you went ahead and did do this, this is what it would sound like.
Ye efiri nkwaso foforo no mu ba ne sɛ wɔde amanɔne sika didi dwuma nyene sɛ wɔde bedi dwuma de enya wiase mmiaye a enya nkoso pii no nkoso sika a wɔde hyɛ etubra foforo ase no kosoro kyɛn sɛ ɛbɛtɛ nsusunoe a ɛda wiase aman a wɔdi hie ne aman a wɔdi hiantam no so.
So this just shows you can feed in a very complex, long output and still have a very high quality output.
Adesua efa ensusuye hunu a wodi aniwa huhu ensem a efa ensusuye a wodi susu nneoma ho no a enkoye hono ama yenya enhunu mu pii won susuye ahodo a aniwa hyehyeye no de ba no ho.
Entire passages will work.
Deɛ wapara wɔ anuanom mmarima no mu nso akɔyɛ sɛ ne ho yɛ anika yi obi betumi agye akyinye a ɔmmere koraa sɛ ɔno na ne ho yɛ anika para wɔ kuro no mu.
Okay, I hope you are convinced that this thing works. So let's move on to some more demos just so that we don't run out of time. So next, I would like to show you, let's see, what was on my list? Image and chatbot demos. So this is what we're going to do now. So image caption, right? This is on Hugging Face that we've put this up. So if you go to the link, I think that was the first link that's on that website. What you see here is you can select a language, and there are a few of them. We are working with another organization from the Horn of Africa called Lisan. They did Amharic and a language called Tigrinya. We added, and then the rest are ours, and I think Swahili and Shona are from Google Translates. So what we are doing is we are going to detect a scene, what's in the scene, and then we are going to translate that. Once we've got the description, we're going to translate that into a local language so that, let's say, somebody who does not speak English can tell what's in the image. Let's say they couldn't see, but you wanted the system to tell them what was around them, right? They could take a picture of their surroundings and then have the system detect and then generate the audio to them. So let me do a very quick demo of this. Okay, so I'm going to upload a picture of cats first. By the way, you can just take a picture on your phone and it works great, but I'm just going to go through this classic example just to not confuse things. So I selected tree, and I'm asking it to generate a caption description of it. You take some 10 seconds, and then you see it says there are two cats lying on a couch with remote controls on their backs, okay? And then to also give the African language equivalent of that description. And if you can read this, I hope you can read this. You can see it's pretty close, maybe not perfect, but it's pretty close to being right. In addition, it's going to do object detection and actually detect in which part of the image this object, like the cat or cra, is, right? So let's say you wanted to do like Bani or something, right? You could do the same thing. Arrow. That's unexpected. Let's say error, and let's try another image, like a stop sign. I wonder if too many people logged in and it's failing now for that reason. Is anyone trying this now? Is it working for you? Can you drop that in the chat? I'll check the back end and see if everything's all right here. Oh, yeah. It seems there may be too many people, or the size for this demo that I chose may not be enough for everyone hitting it at once. So let me restart it real quick. So this is something I've learned. I'm going to increase the size of the instance so that more people can do simultaneous. But I'm restarting it, so if you are having trouble, just wait a few minutes, and it should boot right back up. But in order not to waste time, I hope you saw this is not in production yet. This is like a demo, so people can tell us whether this is useful or whether we should add it to an app that's like a production level app. Let's try another one. Let's try something else. Oh yeah, the chat. Let's try the chat. Hope you guys haven't taken it down yet. Yeah, so this is the chat. Doesn't look like it. So let's say, ChatGPT, but you wanted to do it in your local language, right? So again, we have all these languages here, but we are going to start with Chi. So let's say we wanted to ask it what the name is. So it says, my name is Kaya, which is, and then let's say you asked it, let's say you ask it, how are you? And it will say, well, I'm an artificial intelligence. I don't really have feelings. How can I help you? Okay, so that's like toy. These are kind of toy questions. By the way, when you're typing in here, please try and use the special characters. It will work better. I don't have the special characters on here, so I'm cheating a little bit. So let me ask it who the president of Ghana is. So it says, yeah, it is Nana Akufo-Addo in 2021. However, please verify this because it may have changed, right? So how are we doing this? We have an LLM in English, Mixtral, specifically, that the inputs are translated from the local language into English, fed to the LLM, and then fed back into the other language, right? Of course, into the local language. Of course, this is why we are displaying both the English and the local, so that you know for a fact whether the translation is working and everything. This is not ideal. We didn't have the data to train a large language model for each local language, right? We don't have the resources to do that, but we are slowly developing methods that may be able to achieve that, right? So that would be the next step. Let's say you wanted to ask when Ghana gained independence or something. Yeah, I'm using the right special characters. Let's see what it says. Okay, I think we got to the same issue. Too many people using it right now. So this is on me. I thought this instance was powerful enough to handle everybody's requests, but obviously I was wrong. So I need to boot this. So after this call, I'm going to increase the size of the instance so that I can handle more requests. So if you are struggling with this right now, that is why. However, this you can run locally on your own system. So if you want to know how to do this, you contact us. We give you the code. Everything is open source. The only thing you need is like an API key for API that will handle the translation. And then you can run the code locally once you have that. So you won't have this issue. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So I hope this demo at least demonstrated what can be done with the API, even if clearly is not robust enough to handle a lot of requests at once. So I'm grateful to have learned that. Let's see, what do we have next? Right, okay, so I think we should open the floor now to have a conversation.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation. We've learned a lot from you. So we have a few questions here. The first one is, do you have plans to build this into large language models?
Right, so what you're looking at, the previous demo was a large language model in English, that is using the translation as like to handle the local languages. So in a way, it is already a large language model. But yes, we do need to train large language models in the local languages. The issue with that is it takes a lot of data. It takes a lot of compute. We don't have either of those things. So the reason we did a lot of this is to demonstrate the potential, and we are currently looking for money so that we can actually do the bigger projects that we actually need to get to, right? So this is a step along the way to that.
Okay, thank you. So the second question is, how does translation work for words that have no native equivalent?
How does translation work for words that have no native equivalent? So sometimes if even like a scientific concepts, you can teach the translator to describe the concept. Even if there's no specific word for it, it can describe what it means. And there are actually a few, if you go to my LinkedIn page, I remember we had a few examples of this. Yeah, let me find it really quickly. So a scientific concept, like, okay, it seems I'll need to scroll down a lot for this. But yeah, so a scientific concept that does not have, I've seen the model do something like just literally describe what it means in a few sentences, right? Which happens when there is no equivalent, as you said. But really the way to do it properly is to actually convene the language board so that if there's no such word, that basically the language board would decide one for it, right? So I think a lot of people say computer, right? Or car, right? Even though KAA in tree, right? Even though that's not the appropriate word, sometimes it's also okay to do code switching. So you can say car, right? Just describe the sound using the local language. Or you can even sometimes leave I think Google Translate just leaves the English word it doesn't know in there. Because the reality is a lot of us will still understand it, right? Even if it's not completely true, if one or two words are English, that's how we speak in the street anyway, right? So it's some combination of these things.
Yeah, okay. So there's a question here that is asking, are there any edge cases it performs poorly at?
So that definitely, yes, it's not perfect, and you should know this. So everything that you want to build, you want to test first, and then hopefully we can work with you to close those gaps. But it all depends on what exactly you mean. Is it translation edge cases, chat edge cases, text to speech recognition, right? Definitely. Automatic speech recognition, if you send in data that is not, or like audio recording that's not clean enough, for example, you sent in a whole musical track and expected it to transcribe the lyrics, it's going to fail because there's way too much other stuff in there for it to discern the voice out, right? So you can't just, or if you send in voice, there's a lot of echo, noise, street noise. Even when you download the app and you try to talk to it, try to do it in a quiet place, right? And if you are building an application that, the data is noisy, maybe filter the noise out before you feed into the API, right? So there are things like that. It definitely has, and I'm sure there are edge cases we haven't discovered yet. So this is why we need people to start using this.
Yeah, totally. I agree with you. So there's a question here that's asking, are you going to rely on Google Translate forever, or you use human translation?
We don't rely on Google Translate. We have our own translator in there.
Okay.
So do we rely on human translation? So our automatic translator we don't encourage you to use it, for example, in healthcare or something like that, highly sensitive, or in legal applications where you're looking at the output and you're going to decide if somebody's going to go to jail or not. No, don't do that, right? Make sure there are people involved. At least they're checking the output, right, before you put too much weight into it. It's not perfect. It's supposed to be something that will do very simple things that you're just bored of doing, right? There are things it can do well, but when it comes to highly sensitive things, we still encourage use of human translators. Our data is trained on human translators, so we provide them with jobs, right, when we have the funding. Yeah, and at the end of the day, these are just tools in the hands of these professionals that they can use in their daily jobs.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And then another question here says, are you creating opportunities for young Africans to contribute to these amazing projects through internships?
Yes, absolutely. We are actually in discussion with the National Service Secretariat now, so we are going to provide national service. That's the first. A lot of the things you are looking at were built using our Ghana NLP community, right? So actually, when we raise money, we mentor. First of all, we mentor researchers. Right now, there are about 60. We started, I think we have about 200 people. Some of them were not very involved, so we reduced the number. It's now around 60. And these are all people we mentor. When we have money, we create, consulting opportunities for them. And as I said, the whole point here is to create an ecosystem. We cannot do all of this ourselves. We can't build the APIs for everything. We can't also apply it for everything, right? So we need to build up the ecosystem. And some of the people that have passed through Ghana NLP have gone to do amazing things. And when people come in and they do good work, I write them a very good recommendation. I can point to at least 3 or 4 cases in which, they go to grad school, they got amazing jobs. So yes, we are doing our part.
Okay. So a kind note to those joining the meeting, please, if you have a question, type it and then we'll read it out for you. You don't have to raise up your hand. And then there's a question here. It says, is your translation data open source? Where can we download it to do research?
Okay. Some of the data that we have is open source. And where can you download it? If you go to Google Scholar, maybe I just show this. We used to, people, when you email our organization, we try and respond to you and point you in the right place. But to be absolutely honest with you, some of these things you should just look for yourself, right? You can Google search it.
Yeah.
So if you go to Google Scholar, and I'll share so you can see, let's say you look for Azunre, right? And you will see our papers here, like this one, English Tree Parallel Couples for Machine Translation. If you go in there, the link is there. NLP for Ghanaian languages. You can go in there, the link is there. You can even do just a Google search and look for data. We've put out quite a few data. That's not all of it. Okay, and the reason we have not put out all of our data is because if we did that, Google will come and take it. They'll say, thank you very much. They'll improve their system and we'll go out of business, right? So unfortunately, we cannot do that. Meta, and this has happened before, when we first came out, we were completely open, completely. So anybody could come and take whatever they want, and we're just doing it for the community, what and what. But then we learned a few very hard lessons, such as, for example, we need money to do this stuff, right? And so we were doing some of our stuff really openly, and then people came and took our stuff, went to apply to the same things we were applying to, and won the money over us, right? So they were like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be open, because then how would we ever raise any money, right? Or let's say Facebook comes out with when they came out with it, no language left behind, and they made all that hype. We actually lost customers because they thought that solution was very good. It wasn't. It took them a while to discover this and come back. But at that point, we've lost revenue. we've lost momentum, right? So then we did find our data in their training data, right? So some of these things you're looking at, they went and they took it, they put in their training, they put out their model, and they drown us out, right? Like we don't exist at all. And of course, it's Facebook, right? They have so much money. If we just give our data away, we will cease to exist, right? So you can get some data to do research, but you're not going to get all of the data that is used to drive our APIs. And that's just because otherwise, there's no other way for us to raise money for this, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we are done with the Q&A. There are no more questions coming in.
Yeah, right on
It's a
time.
pleasure. Yeah, it's a pleasure having you with us, and then we'll reach out if we need any assistance to connect as well. Thank you all for joining us today for today's discussion. I hope we all learned a lot. I've learned a lot personally, and then thank you, Paul, for making time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We really appreciate it.
Nice. Thank you for having me. I've had fun.
Thank you all for joining.